Good morning, garden friends. I'm up bright and early with my coffee, but I am going to be working in my rose garden here. On the previous video, I had removed the 3 knockout roses and placed them up in the secret garden. So today, this is about getting my vanilla strawberry hydrangeas cleaned up, my Annabelle's cleaned up, and then I'll turn the camera around. While I love my Japanese amenities, boy, are those guys aggressive. And I think it's part of the reason why my candy tuff didn't do as well as the other areas. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dig those up, put them in a pot, and overwinter those guys. But let me show you guys what these amenities have done, and even though I had pulled out majority of them. So let me turn my camera around. Okay, so like I said, I got the bulk of them out, but look at all those little babies that are in here. So after I go ahead and trim back my hydrangeas, I'm gonna go in here and meticulously dig up all of these roots, because I also have to dig up my calla lilies. They're gonna stay in this bed, but I'm going to place them elsewhere in the garden. And then my candy tuff, and then that's also phlox that I'm gonna move and put in a container to where, like I said, I can overwinter and then get them back in the bed. So let me go ahead and start working on these hydrangeas. Okay, so like I said, I'm just going to be getting these guys cut and cleaned up. I'm not going to do the actual shaping of them until this spring, and I'm going to use that technique of focusing on the thicker branches, cutting those, and then making sure that all of the little spindly branches are cut away from here, so it ends up being nice and sturdy, as I see so many people hydrangeas. And this is the thing, you know, like I said, just getting it cleaned up to get the spent flowers off and have some order to it, because it's kind of crazy. And you guys know me, I don't do crazy well when it comes to my garden. Now, as I'm looking at some of these, definitely, like I said, the thinner ones, I'm going to, in the spring, definitely cut those guys back. And then the remaining leaves, those guys can fall off as they go into dormancy. And then anything that's broken, I'm clipping that off too, so. All right, that looks good for this one. And like I said, the real shaping and pruning will be done this spring. All right, so let's start on the Waigili. Now for the Waigili, all I'm doing is sort of shaping it to give it a little more structure, and then anything that looks damaged, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut. The thing that I'm trying to do with the Waigili is to give it a nice shape and it not look so spindly. Okay, so that one looks good. Let's go over here and get the other vanilla strawberry done. in here and get these cleaned up. Now, the other thing that I'm going to end up doing in this bed is also putting a nice layer of compost down before I mulch, after I get everything planted in here. And I'm really hoping that this season, number one, is not as hot as it was, and me doing this other way of pruning my hydrangeas will have them standing nice and sturdy, because there are definitely a lot of thick branches in here, because I think this is probably, I think 5 years old. Okay, so that one is done. Oops. Oh, that is done. Let's go ahead and get started on my 2 Annabelles. And then I'm going to dig up my calla lilies, get those guys in some soil, because I believe digging up the Japanese amenities is going to take me some time, because I want to try to make sure that I am getting as many of those roots out of the bed. Now, the good thing about both the strawberry vanilla and the Annabelles, these guys grow on both new wood. So me cutting these guys back is not going to do any harm to them. Yeah, there are definitely a lot in here that when I cut back to get those spindly branches out of there, so it has a nice solid structure. Let's get this final one done. All right, so those guys are done. Wow, what a difference a good pruning does. So I'm gonna go ahead, get my calla lilies dug up, and then get in here and get these runners of these Japanese amenities. I do have a spot that I'm going to put them in that I don't mind it taking over. So once I get that done, I'll get back on and start getting the roses and the other plants that I'm going to be putting in here. Okay, so I have done my best to get all those roots out of the Japanese amenities. But look at this, guys. It had wrapped around my hydrangea roots in a couple of sections. So I'm going to make sure we're putting extra soil on top of here to keep these guys protected. But this is the thing, you know, if you are donating or plant swapping with anyone, be kind enough to let people know whether or not the plants that you are giving them or they're purchasing from you are invasive. I know I gave some to the garden club, and I was specific in letting them know that if you plant these, plant them in a spot you do not mind them taking over, because they will take over. So hopefully I got them all. Now we're gonna start putting the compost and soil mixture on this bed to enrich this soil. Just take it to the back. Kevin's getting ready to dump the new topsoil in, and then I'll get it spread out so we can make sure those roots are nice and protected. And like I said, hopefully I've gotten all of those amenities, but when I see them, I'm gonna go ahead and just get them dug up. All right, so the entire bed is covered with a nice healthy layer of the compost and manure mix. So I'm gonna go and get my plants laid out as far as how I'm going to put them back here, and then get them in the ground, and then start putting my bulbs in. I want to get the plants set first, then the bulbs. Okay, so this is how I have the rose garden bed laid out. I got some yellow pansies along the front, and then this is a new plant. This is part of the sage family. This is called Salvia Gregia, the Mirage White, and these guys get 2 to 3 feet tall, and I have them flanking on both sides. I have my heirloom roses, and I'll put the names of each one up. I believe that's the pink, white, and then pink, and then again with the salvia, the autumn sage, and then I have some snapdragons that are flanked by some more pansies. I think this is going to look really nicely. Now in the back corner, I'm going to plant my calla lilies, so they tend to come up and I'll be able to enjoy them. I was going to move the Wygili because it's not really centered, but I didn't want to disturb it, even though this would probably be the ideal time to do so, but I'm not going to worry about it. So now, while I ended up waiting until the sun was over this area, and what I mean by that, where I don't have that direct sun that is normally here, so that when I plant these guys, it's less shock. You know, you don't want to be planting in with the heat beating down on new plants. So that is one of the things that I make a point of doing. Let me go ahead and get this stuff planted, and then I will show you once it's all done and I have the mulch down. Okay, so everything is planted, and I think the combination is going to look amazing. Like I said, you got the 2 strawberry vanillas that are in the corner. You got the Wygili that will have the deep burgundy color. I have my 2 Annabelles on the side, and then in between I have my roses, my new roses. The first one here is the Summer Romance. The second one here is Madame Anastan, and the third one there is Plomo Blanca. And then my new plant, which is part of the sage family. This is a white sage that I have 4 of those in the garden. And then the snapdragons, and topped it off with the pansies. And then what I did is I made a swoop that went in between all the way down of daffodils, and those are casadas. All right, garden friends, the rose and hydrangea garden bed is done, and I am so pleased with how it ended up turning out. And this spring and summer, this is going to look amazing. Now, mind you, it looks amazing now because it's clean, but I am just really happy with how it ended up turning out. Well, thank you again for visiting Inspiring Garden Corner. And if you enjoy my content and want to take this journey with me, please consider subscribing. And I look forward to you checking out my next video.